I just got fired.
I got fired from my first travel nurse assignment.
I literally got fired from my job during Nurses Week. So yay, I love being a nurse.
Hello everyone, I want to tell you something. Nowadays, many people believe that nursing is a stable career, except from the layoffs. But actually, it is not always the case, because nurses can still lose their jobs for many unexpected reasons. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. And if you find this topic helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And let's get started.
I got fired from my first travel nurse assignment in 2022. I'm working in ICU. At the time, I had no patients, and this was like a trending audio to write your name on a whiteboard to put it under like RN, CNA, PT, OT, food services, because COVID, we were so short-staffed, we literally did it all. So I was just doing a trend. I had no patients. The room was completely clean. The video goes viral, and I start to notice people commenting, "That's blank hospital," or some people saying, "Oh, I know that hospital is whiteboard anywhere." A couple of people are like, "What floor do you work on?" I'm still thinking nothing of it because all the comments are really positive. But yeah, someone took that video and sent it to a higher up of that facility. It went above my manager. She couldn't even stop what was happening. And my recruiter called me, I think the next day or something. It was my friend's 30th birthday that I was planning. And my recruiter called and was like, "You've been terminated." And all she said was that it was a TikTok.
I just got fired. Yep, you heard me right. I just got fired from the job that I've worked at off and on since 2016. I guess they're mad and got word that I had a TikTok account. The administrator just called me and said that basically she got word. This was her words verbatim. "Hi, this is blank, the administrator." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "We got word that you have a TikTok account and you've been filming here in the building and saying some not so nice things about our building." She was like, "And you signed an agreement on TikTok that you wouldn't film at your workplace." And I said, "Oh, did I? I don't think so." But anyways, it's beside the point. And I was like, "Okay, well, I won't make no more nurse videos." You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't make videos while I'm working. And she was like, "Unfortunately," she was like, "we have to terminate you." She was like, "This calls for termination." And I was like, "Oh, okay, bye." Like, literally, like, okay, what am I supposed to say? Like, okay, I'm a nurse, I can go anywhere. And for all the haters that were on here and inboxing me and saying I shouldn't be filming at work and, you know, saying all this and that, do you know that I am not the only nurse that films at work? There is hundreds of accounts, and I'm not going to name them, but you guys, I'm sure if you follow me, you see other nursing content. It's good. On to the next. That's all. Bye.
Since 2025, more and more nurses have been fired because of social media, especially TikTok. Healthcare is extremely strict when it comes to privacy regulations, particularly HIPAA laws, so hospitals don't want to take any risk of patient information being leaked. Even if you haven't violated anything yet, management may still see filming at work as a potential danger. To them, the safest option is to let you go before a problem happens. In other words, a single careless post online could send you an end in your nursing career.
So, like, how does one get fired from being a school nurse? You must have to, like, be a really, really bad nurse, right? Or maybe you were just asking all the right questions to the wrong people. Since I don't work there anymore, I might as well talk about all the incidents that led up to this. So my first week there's this child that everyone is talking about. They're giving me a report, but their report is really negative, and they're more like shitting on this kid more than anything, right? He's like 13 or 14, disabled child. He has cerebral palsy. He can walk. He just walks with a limp. He had one seizure last year, and because of that, they wanted him to be monitored by a nurse through his school activity. But this child, he was doing inappropriate things with himself in front of everybody, in front of the nurses, and until he would be complete. And my first question to the nurse was like, why'd you even let him finish? Like, why didn't you stop that? Why didn't you interrupt? Like, what? Ew. And apparently he's also asking the nurses, like male and female, like, hey, what do you do at night? What do you do before you go to sleep? Do you hear these type of noises? And like he would imitate whatever he's hearing. And these nurses are like talking shit, right? They're just like, he's disgusting, blah, blah, blah. I don't ever want to work with him. But they're like saying, going into more detail, right? And I'm just like, well, has anyone made a CPS report? And when I asked this, one of the other chicks in mental health that, now that I think about it, never liked me, she like kind of snapped at me. She was like, well, there's no need to call CPS because he is mentally delayed because of his seizure. And of course, like, my rebuttal is, yeah, well, children that are disabled are more likely to be SA'd. And then she was like, no, counseling also said that that's appropriate for his age. And I'm like, no, that's not appropriate to do that in school. So now it's my turn to watch him, right? So like my first day, I'm there with him and it's going fine. No real complaints. He's talking to me. I'm talking back, respectful. So I take him to go get food during lunch. And as he's sitting down outside, he starts, and I fucking just, I'm not mean, but I'm stern. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, huh? And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? And he said, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. I said, okay, let's go to the restroom then. And he stops. He's like, okay. And he goes to the restroom. And of course, he's in there for like 10 minutes, right? And then I'm like, all right, so I got to report this. So I do report it. I report it to the principal. I report it to my supervisor. And I report it to whoever else I need to, because no. So I report this in an email, right? I report it to the supervisor. I report it to the principal. Later on, I asked my supervisor, I was like, hey, have we made a police report? Or not a police report, a CPS report. She said, no, there's no need to. And I'm like, yeah, he might be being at home or in school. I don't know. And I even asked her, I was like, do you know what a pseudo seizure is? Pseudo seizure. Wow, I really butchered that one up. If you don't know, look it up. So what do? Because I don't feel like he's getting the help he actually needs, I make the CPS report. I really hope that's not happening to him. I just know I can't live with myself. I couldn't live with myself knowing I did nothing to help this kid,
I literally got fired from my job during Nurses Week. So yay, I love being a nurse. But for some context / background, I'm a travel nurse. I had just accepted a travel assignment. Well, not just. I had been planning on doing this travel assignment for about a month now. We're about 2 weeks out. And I got the call yesterday that my contract has been canceled. So I have no job now. I basically got fired before I even started at this job. And I even worked in the same hospital system in LA previously before accepting this job. And even on my last shift, I was, out of the kindness of my heart, I worked a 20-hour shift. I literally worked 8 hours overtime because they were short-staffed. But you know what? Hospitals really don't care about you. That's what I've learned from this. They could care less if you're a good nurse. They just are about their money. So happy Nurses Week, everybody. I hope your Nurses Week is better than mine because I'm unemployed right now.
Reason 3,555 why you should not become a travel nurse. Y'all, why did I just go to work and I was told that I was fired effective immediately on night shift? I woke up early, got dressed, made my lunch, drove into the city, only to be told that, yeah, we're canceling your contract, you're being fired effective immediately. It was the funniest thing. It was really the funniest thing. Obviously, the report that I got was I wasn't doing their drips the way they wanted to be done there. And I'm like, that's a lie. That's not what the issue was. But it's okay.
Travel nurses are the group of the people are the most at risk of getting fired, and that they're usually hard to fill staffing shortage. But once the shortage is over, contracts are often cut quickly. The pay may be higher, but so is the risk of losing the job.
I was written up and almost fired by hospital administration because I did not submit to their demands and apologize. They wanted me to apologize to a rude and belligerent patient that called me out my name and cussed me out using the F word. So around 8:30, 9 o'clock, when I was doing my morning med pass, the patient asked me, hey, could you do my dressing change right now? When I asked him why, he said, because this is around the same time that his home health nurse would come and do his dressing change. So I said to him, now would not be an ideal time because the attending on our floor likes to look at the wounds. And you have a complicated dressing change order and you require being pre-medicated before. So I would hate for you to have to go through that twice in one shift. So if you don't mind, could we wait until after the attending rounds on you, looks at your wound, and then I will come in right after and do your dressing change? The patient was in agreement. So we left it alone. So that day, because there was a code on the floor, the attending rounded a bit later than he usually do. So he rounded on my patient maybe around like 3 p.m. So right after the attending left, I asked him, could I come in and do his dressing change now? Would he like for me to pre-medicate him? Seeing that his dressing is off. And he said, well, actually, there was an NP with the attending, and she put back on the dressing, and he's about to go into a conference call, so I should come back later and do it. I said, no problem. 4 o'clock comes around. I go back. Said, hey, would you like for me to do your dressing change right now? Again, he says, no, not right now. Come back later. I go back at 4:45. Tells me no again. Give him a bit more time. He has something that he has to do. I said, okay, I just want you to know I'm trying to get this dressing change done on my shift, but I also have a new admission coming. So I intend to be in my new admissions room for a while. So I would like to get this done as soon as possible. He still refused, which was his right, and he told me he would let me know when he was ready. So 5:15 rolls around. I get report from ER about my patient, but the ER nurse told me that there's about 3 patients ahead of mine, so my patient would be up in about 30 minutes. I was like, okay, bet. I go to the patient and I said to him, hey, would you like for me to do your dressing change right now? He said, come back in 15 minutes. Well, my patient came up earlier than I thought. So now I'm attending to my new admission. So I'm walking to the supply room and I walk past my patient's room that has the wound. And the patient yelled out, hey, nurse. And I was like, I'm coming. I go into the supply room. I come back to his room. He's on isolation, so I'm standing at the door. So he says, I'm ready for you to do my dressing change. And I said, I can't do it right now. I'm with my new admission and this is going to take me some time. I will come back as soon as I get a chance. He said, well, I've been waiting all day. I said, come back as soon as I get a chance. He loses it. You effing nurses, y'all don't have no respect for nobody. I've been waiting all day with this old soiled dressing, and you said you were going to do my dressing, and I know you're just trying to pass it on to the night shift. And I'm looking at him just bewildered. And he was like, y'all don't respect nobody. Y'all don't respect y'all patients. And he was just going off, dropping all sorts of F-bombs, and he called me stupid. So while he was still speaking, I closed the door. I did not slam it, but I did close the door and I walked off. So right before I entered my new admissions room, my phone rang. I see that it's the patient, right? Because we have like the mobile phones on us. He's like, when are you effing coming back to do my effing dressing? And I said, I'll get to it as soon as I can, but I'm with another patient. I have to go. I hung the phone up. All right. About 20 minutes later, I'm walking out of my patient's room, the new admissions room, and I see the charge nurse in the hallway waiting on me. So she says to me, hey, what's going on with patient so-and-so with the dressing change? Because he called and he is very upset. He says that he feels disrespected. He says he feels like no one cares about him getting better. He says that he feels like we are delaying his care. And he's saying that he got better care at home than he was getting at the hospital. So I explained to her everything I just told you. And she's like, oh, well, I understand, but just go in there and apologize to him and let night shift do the dressing change. And I said, oh, night shift can do the dressing change, but I'm not apologizing. So the charge nurse says, just go on in there, apologize to him, and don't let this be a fallout. I was like, no, I'm not apologizing to anyone that has disrespected me and having them think that that's okay. Like, he's not going to disrespect me. I'm someone's child. You're not going to disrespect me. So she's like, you know how our manager is. We don't want this to become a customer service issue. We don't want this to become a fallout. You know, we care about our HCAP scores, and let's just end this right here and apologize. I said, no, I am not apologizing.
Workplace violence against nurses has been rising sharply, 5 times higher compared to other industries. And in many cases, nurses are the ones blamed when incidents happen. Patients are treated like customers, and in healthcare, the customer is always right. Doctors are also harder to replace, so nurses often take the fall. This makes the profession extremely stressful. Dealing with difficult patients, bullying from college, and the constant risk of being fired for mistakes. Honestly, I have little sympathy for nurses who lose their job because of TikTok, because everyone knows the rule by now. But I do feel for those who get fired for speaking up against injustice or trying to make their workplace better. And about the nurses that I told you that I have little sympathy for them, about the TikTok problems, I want to have a little note here that those nurses posting the private information of their patient on the TikTok so they are getting fired. I agree with that. But with the rest of them, the one who get fired just for speaking up against injustice or trying to speak up for their rights at a workplace, I totally agree with them. And I don't agree with things that they are get fired for such of the nonsense reasons. And that's it for our video today. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next one. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and see you.